Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Gayatri. I work as Indian Program Manager at USIF. I welcome all the participants for the session today. Before I introduce the panelists, can I request the participants to write yes to ensure that you can hear me in the questions session? You will see on your top right side, there is a question panel. So if you could just write, okay, fantastic. I can see a lot of yeses coming. Excellent. Please use the same box to post your questions during and after the session. However, we are going to address most of the questions after the session. Please do not raise your hands because all the participants are going to remain in mute mode only. Today, I'm joined by my colleague, Dr. Sudarshan Das, and two recent FTA grantees. I request Sudarshan to introduce himself, followed by Rinchan and Nijoy. Sudarshan, over to you.
Thanks, Gayatri. And once again, I welcome all the participants for this session. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Sudarshan Das. I work as a senior program officer and I have been associated with the Fulbright Commission for over 19 years. Myself, Gayatri, we are a team of 6. We administer Fulbright Nehru, Fulbright Kalam, and other Fulbright fellowships for Indians to go to the US. It has been a great pleasure that we are associated with this organization and working for a great cause. I wish you all the best for your fellowship application. Gayatri, over to you. Sorry, Rinchan.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sudarshan. Rinchan, can you please introduce yourself to the participants?
Yes, Gayatri. Thank you, Gayatri, for introducing me. So my name is Rinchan Angmo. I am a science teacher from Ladakh Public School, and in 2024, I was selected for the Fulbright Teacher Excellence and Achievement Program for the spring cohort, which was from January till March, a 6-week program. And since the time I've been back, I've been collaborating with some teachers with whom I made lifelong bonds in Florida. Where together we learned so much in Florida Gulf Coast University. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinchan. Nijoy, over to you. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi all, I'm Nijoy. I'm an English teacher from Kerala. I was 2023 Fulbright Teacher Excellence Achievement Grantee. I was in Montana State from 2023 September to November, the fall cohort. We were 23 participants from 20 countries. Still now we are in good touch. We exchange our ideas, teaching methodologies. We maintain our friendship, and it's all a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Nijoy. I know Fulbright is a lifelong friendship. Okay, so thank you so much for the introductions, Sudarshan, Rinchan, and Nijoy. And I again welcome all the participants for the mentoring session for the Fulbright TEA program or Teaching Excellence and Achievement program. I know it's a tea time too. Some of you may have already attended our session on January 24th, where Sudarshan and I provided detailed information about two teacher programs, the Fulbright TA program and Fulbright DI program. Today, in this session, we are going to focus essentially on the application process, but more importantly, on the components of the application form. And our alumni, as well as Sudarshan, are going to help you design some strategies to create a very strong and compelling application form. So let's do a quick recap of what the program is all about so that there is a coherence or a continuity built as we move to the application process. The program brings 180 international teachers, including 6 to 7 teachers from India, who are teaching grades 6 to 12 in only specific subjects: English, social studies, mathematics, science, and special education. It's a 6-week program, and the application deadline for Indian teachers is March 7th. So, just a little over a month to for all the participants to apply for the program. If you see these two pictures are from the cohort which is currently in the US. It's a spring cohort. So as I said, there are going to be 180 international teachers, and they are going to be from 75 different countries. During these 6 weeks, the participants take courseworks as well as attend seminars on various topics. Some of them are listed here. However, it gives you a lot of option to select seminars or attend courses which are related to your specific field. This program also provides an opportunity to observe and share your expertise with the US colleagues and develop or create an action plan which you can come back and implement in your own in your own Indian school and with the community. Fulbright teachers also support people to people diplomacy through civic and cultural activities in which they participate throughout their 6 weeks program. The application form is currently open, and it is an online form which the applicants have to complete. We are not accepting any paper applications. So there is no fee also that the applicants have to pay. So the candidates have to go online. Now, when you go and visit our USIF website, you will find the link to access the online application, as well as we have uploaded application instructions. I would strongly recommend you to download these instructions, read them very carefully, because they will help you. These instructions will help you to create a complete and clear application form before March 7th deadline. Now, when you start working on your application, I'm sure some of you may have already done that. You will see there are 18 sections. So it is definitely an intensive application. Just the way the program itself is intensive, even the application form is very detailed. There are few sections in the application which ask for your background information, your educational qualifications, your professional experience. Make sure that you're completing all the columns that are mandatory, and whatever information you're putting, there is a uniformity in the information. What I mean by that is, say, for example, you're talking about your work experience, work history in section 9. Make sure that even the curriculum vitae that you submit has the same information that you're writing in your work history. Often we find applications where people submit their old CV, which probably they wrote 5 years or 10 years back. Now, so there is a lot of difference in what they write in the application form and a CV which is not updated. Now, that's not a good sign when you're applying for a Fulbright program, and especially for a program which is so competitive. So, my strong recommendation is that work on each section very, very carefully. Ensure that everything that is asked in the application form, you complete that information correctly. So revisit your application to ensure that all the details entered are correct. Now, one of the important sections is weekly teaching schedule. I decided to include this slide because I come across a lot of questions from the applicants about this weekly schedule. Now, your weekly schedule should demonstrate how does typically your week look like. Now, sometimes your weeks may be changing depending on what schools you're teaching. You could have, in January, a different kind of a week, maybe in August, a different kind of a teaching schedule. But what we want you to do is take an average teaching weekly schedule and mention for the entire week, not just for Monday. But if your school is working from Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, for each day of the week, you have to provide complete details of, how you're spending your, say, for example, 8 hours or 9 hours or 6 hours, 7 hours, whatever is your number of teaching hours at the school. How are you spending those teaching hours, or how are you spending those hours? You may be teaching, you are spending some time in preparation, in assessment, in laboratory, or PTM. So talk about everything. in the teaching schedule. This is a sample schedule which is also included in the application form. And make sure that in the application form, it asks you how many hours are you teaching. It should match with the teaching schedule that you are including. Again, often we come across applications where a teacher is saying, I'm teaching, I'm spending 54 hours. But when you look at the weekly schedule, it doesn't go beyond 24 hours. So where are those missing 30 hours? So you don't want to keep any mysteries. Unfold all those mysteries and make sure that again there is uniformity and coherence in your responses to the questions that are being asked. Now, this is the main part of the application form. There are 5 essays which the applicants have to answer. Each response should be a minimum of 200 words and a maximum of 500 words. This portion of the application form will take a considerable amount of your time. It will require the applicants to write, rewrite, improvise. You have a month, every week, probably you want to write your essays, look at them again, rewrite or make some revisions, so that by the time March 5th comes, your application is ready with very strong essays to be submitted. Now let's hear from our panelist about how did they go about writing these essays. So, Rinchan, my first question to you, followed by Nijoy. When you were writing or when you looked at this question, why do you want to participate in the Fulbright TEA program? The why, the objective, the motivation. What were 3 things that you kept in mind while writing this specific essay? Rinchan.
Yes, Gayatri. So, why do you want to participate in Fulbright TEA program? For this questions and generally, in general, while before filling the form, before filling this application, one thing I made sure was the research part of it. I did a thorough research on what Fulbright means. What is it to be a Fulbright scholar? uh, and then I went through all the objectives they have, their what they what are you going to gain from this program, the objective laid down by Fulbright. And then what I did after researching, after finding out everything, then I looked at my own, like how are you as a teacher? What is your driving force as a teacher? What are you committed to? So I've always been, very, how to say it, like as a science teacher, I wanted to bring a lot of changes in my school. So I aligned my goals with the objectives of Fulbright T program. And that's how I started forming an outline from my essays. Yeah. So I would say, you said 3 things. So one thing, the first thing I would say, research, do thorough research. You have to be clear about this program, why this program, okay, why you want to, what makes you, what will you gain from this, which you won't gain from somewhere else. And then the second part would be making your goals clear. What are your goals? And then the third thing would be uh, how your answers should align with the objectives of this program. And another thing that I want to add is, mm, you should be very authentic in your answers. It should come from there should be originality. Nowadays, everybody is using AI tools, to get answers. So that is not how you should go about it. There should be genuineness, because it's not only about the essays. Tomorrow you're going to sit in the interview also. So there should be that coherence, in what you are writing and what you are speaking about. So yes, Gayatri.
Thank you so much, Rinchan. Nijoy, over to you. When you were developing this essay, what were 3 important things that came to your mind frequently? Why?
Yeah.
Why Fulbright?
Yeah. The statement of purpose, it describes lots of questions. It asks you a lot. So I was absolutely sure that this my application should be so competent that I am competing with so many other best teachers in India. So I ensured that competency. The first thing that was in my mind was it should be content rich, exhibiting my attitude, my exposures, my ambitions regarding my teaching profession and about Fulbright scholarship. That was the first thing. Content rich means no. When we go through the questions itself, we know that they want to know what we do in the classrooms, what we do as a teacher, not our philosophies, not our perceptions, not our views about life. No, it's nothing. It's what you are doing here as a teacher. Number two, I if you go through all the questions, they check whether you are an ordinary teacher or an extraordinary teacher. The second thing was my priority towards off-road travels. No, every teacher goes to class by 9 or 10 and he concludes it by 4 or 5. It happens everywhere, every day, by everyone. But some do something extra. What are the social benefits? People empowerment. So I was, when I went there also, when I was filling the application and when I went to US, I could understand that the social changes that we create out of our teaching methodologies or practices, that is really important. So my second point was priority to off-road travels. Third one, every word should be focused. We cannot beat around the bush. The questions are very direct, specific. So we should answer to that question, and we may see that some of the questions are also similar. No, they are not similar. They're totally different. It's confusing. We need to think, recollect, meditate, and we cannot sit. We cannot complete this application in one sitting. We need to recollect and rethink and rephrase. That process is going on there. So it should be content rich. It should be something about offer travels, and it should be very focused. These are the three things I kept in mind while I was filling the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Nijoy, and thank you, Rinchan, also. Before I comment anything, I know there is a lot that Sudarshan wants to talk about because, Sudarshan and I also sit with a lot of screening selection committees. We have done that for so many years. And I definitely want to hear from Sudarshan. Sudarshan, when you sit with these panels, whether it's for the paper review with the screening panel or during the interview with the selection panel, what do you think the panelists are looking for in the application or the candidates when they are selecting the candidates across the country for the Fulbright TA program? Over to you, Sudarshan.
Gayatri, I must compliment you for this question. This is an excellent question. Based on our experience, you and I, as you said, we have been on several panels. The reviewers and the selection committee members look for multiple things in successful candidates. The very first thing is that they would like to know whether the applicant is clear about what they want to learn. So you must be crystal clear in your application what exactly you want to learn. That must come out. As Nijay said, that we cannot beat around the bush. You have to be crystal clear what exactly you want to learn. You could have 2 or 3 objectives. That's fine. Don't go beyond 3. So that should come out very clearly in your application. The second thing is that you are teachers from India. So the expectations are very high. Rinchen and Nijay can tell you that the bar for Indians is quite different. The expectations are very high. So you are not just seen as learners, you are also seen as contributors there. So what you can contribute, that must be reflected in your application. And contribution at each stage of your program. If you see, the FTA program is so well designed, it has several components, but I will just focus on 3 components. The very first one is professional development, which has academic seminars, workshops, and you will have exposure to innovative teaching methods and what you can contribute in the professional development. Take, for example, you will be part of several academic seminars. You will learn a lot, but what you can contribute, that should also come out. So I am just trying to highlight those aspects. You should be very clear, and in the application, it should very clearly come out what you want to learn and also what you want to contribute at each stage of the program. The second component of this FTA program is your exposure to 40-hour practicum at a US secondary school. You are not just going there as observers. You are going there as active participants. So what you want to learn and what you can contribute there in the classroom, that must come out. And do not speak big things without any instances. Take for example, if you are going for a to a school and you can actually contribute something what you stand for. You can give the example. Take for example, you have done significant work or some work in the field of AI and digital literacy in your school, or you have done something in the field of inclusivity and equitable education in your school, or you might stand for something related to STEM education in 21st century. So those are your specialty, those are your specialization. You can contribute those things in the US classroom. So in the application, please speak about little bit about what you can contribute at your 40-hour practicum or the exposure to the school. The third and also equally important component of this program is cultural ambassador role. And that is very important from the point of view of networking. This is a short-term program, but how strong you are at networking, how you can build long-term relationship, that is something also must come out in the application. So to summarize, please be very clear what you want to learn, and also we are looking for teachers who are committed for a particular cause. We are not just looking for teachers who are doing their job for the sake of completing their job responsibility. No, we are looking much beyond that. And I am sure as leaders, you must stand for something. It could be girl child education, it could be sanitation, it could be community involvement, it could be related to sustainability. Please, in your application, that flow should be there, should be reflected at each stage, so that as a reviewer, as a selection committee member, I will be convinced that yes, this teacher stands for a particular cause and this teacher is a change maker. This teacher can bring some changes in India as well as during this short stint in the US. So these three things I am just highlighting, but there is a fourth component is that we always say once a Fulbrighter, always a Fulbrighter. So what is your plan after coming back? You will be seen as a big change maker. Currently, you are a change maker. You are going to learn something, come back, and will become a big change maker, bringing changes at a larger scale. So, what are the issues and challenges you have identified in context of your school, in context of your community, and how you can come back and contribute to make some changes? It's not that you can bring big changes, even small scale changes at your school, at your community level. So these are the few things I would highlight. So reviewers and selection committee members look at the holistic aspects, that you know what you are going to do, you know what you want to contribute, and also you are committed for a particular cause, and also you are committed to come back and contribute here back in India. Over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you. I think these were like fantastic responses. Wow. I mean, from all three of you, Ranjan, Nijoy, Sudarshan. And I think your responses have provided a lot of information to the applicants, to the participants on how to go about writing this essay. Some of them may have already created a draft, but this is an opportunity for you to re-look at that draft and improvise it based on, the the feedback or the thoughts that have been shared by our panelists. Okay, let's move to the next question, which is describe an occasion where you were a leader or you set a positive example in your school or community. Um, I'll first ask Nijoy, followed by Rinchan. And Nijoy, based on so many years of experience, I'm sure there were several such occasions, several instances which you could have probably written in this specific essay. Now, because you only have been asked to write one such occasion, how did you shortlist that one occasion? I'm sure, when you were writing the kind of school that you're teaching at, you have done remarkable work in different areas. Now, how did you decide that one specific occasion that you want to only highlight with regard to the Fulbright program? Nijoy.
Thank you, Gayatri. So, first, I have listed out some 5, 10 possible answers or possible projects that I have initiated. So, then my concern was, it should appeal to an international team, and I guess I could understand that the project should have created some social impact. These things I have been in my mind. So my the initiative that or the project that I have mentioned in my application was about I am an English teacher. There's a textbook figure from Bihar, Patna, Irfan Alam. Unfortunately, he normally he remains in the textbooks itself. I but I invited him to Kerala. Unfortunately, he was an American President's Executive Awardee. Obama has recognized, invited him to White House and recognized him. So for me, that was a coincidence, a luck. So I mentioned that also. So that was, I guess, I could get an added advantage on that. And what happened out of that project? He came to Kerala. He interacted with the students of all the districts of Kerala. Later, there was a time when Kerala was stricken by the flood. Again, we had associated with that foundation. He gave lakhs of rupees to our schools, poor people, the students. So, though I initiated that as an academic extension activity, it went on to a social reconstruction process. So there is something extra in the academic side. At the same time, it was extended to social process addressing the needs of the students also. So I thought of it giving me an added advantage on that, and I have chosen that particular project. That was it.
Great. I think that is an excellent example of combining academics with social change. Great. Thank you, Nijoy. Rinchan, what was your
Yes.
strategy?
So, Gayatri, see, one thing, when I was filling this form, there was this part where I read, do you have any national award or publication? So I had none. Okay, and I had only 5.5 years of experience of teaching, but in those 5 years I had achieved a lot in the sense that I observed a certain problem or a challenge in science education in my community specifically. I pinpointed that, and also while writing the essays I kind of highlighted that need that I saw, that I always wanted this change in the science education specifically in my community. So from that there the answer, the example stemmed from there. So taking that opportunity, I gave examples where I uh, saw this issue in my educational setup in the field of science, and this is how I tackled it. Okay, I did this for 3 years. It was a long term plan. I did this, and I got these results. So detecting an issue, working on it, getting a result. So those that kind of example I gave, so that to show them that I'm ready. I empathize. I see problems, and I'm proactive. I'm committed as a teacher. So I wanted to show that part of me, that commitment. So I gave that example where I contributed in the science learning in my community. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Rinjan. Sudarshan, anything that you want to add before I move to the next three questions?
Very quickly, Gayatri, I just wanted to complement what Rinchen said. Please pinpoint an issue or a topic for which you stand for. Do not take a topic or a theme because it is fashionable. Nowadays, we are seeing there are several areas. It could be climate, it could be AI. Some applicants think that if they take AI as their, something, an area to showcase, their application will be much more, carry much more weight. That is not the case. We are looking for teachers who are committed for a particular cause. As Rinchen, she stands for that STEM education in her community. And you have to give some instances, examples. Just giving, jargons or taking, things like, how things are happening in AI and or, girl child education, that will not suffice. Our reviewers and selection committee members will always look for what you have done. Hence, take one area or two areas where you have done some contribution for which you stand for. So your originality, your genuinity for that particular area must be reflected in your application. I must tell you that our reviewers and selection committee members are experienced enough to catch that. If you are just coming up with a theme just to show that it is a fashionable theme and you have not done anything in that area, they will catch you. You may come up with a very simple theme, but if you have done something in that area, your project or your application will be much more competitive.
Yeah, completely agreed, Sudarshan. A very quick example that I can share with the participants is we had an applicant who talked about her interest in special education, but her experience as well as entire application was focused more on environmental education. So the committee did give feedback to relook at what you are really passionate about. Is it really special education or is it environmental education? And the applicant reapplied and then was selected. So reflect your passion in the area and not don't think in terms of how can I impress the selection panel, how can I impress the people who are reading your application, or what is it available in the US which I can put in my application. No, the responses to the questions must come from within. And if you look at the way the entire application form is designed, the form is a great opportunity for teachers to document their work. Often, all the teachers are extremely busy in teaching in a lot of associated work with the school community parents that they don't get time to really document or sit and write the number of workshops that they attended, the kind of work that they've been doing, the projects that they're engaged in, maybe an impact, a social impact that we're talking about, that they facilitated or they were a catalyst to that social change. But the application form will actually give you an opportunity to do that. So I hope you will enjoy writing the application. Now let's look at the remaining three parts, part 3, 4, and 5. Part 3 talks about how will your community benefit from your participation in the program, and talk about only two ways in which you will share what you have learned during your Fulbright program. Fourth part talks about collaboration with US teachers, collaboration with the international teachers, because you will have an opportunity to meet teachers from many, many different countries. It also talks about how you demonstrated flexibility in interacting with someone from a different culture. This also is a reflection of your maturity, adaptability, because when you go on such international programs, the programs are going to demand a lot of maturity and flexibility from each participant. And the third one talks about describing opportunities available or maybe even challenges which are faced by students in your community to receive quality education, and your specific role in helping to deal with that challenge, or how did you go about addressing even one issue related to providing quality education. So let's hear from our panelist now. Rinchan, you could go first, followed by Nijoy. How did you develop the outline for these three essays? What advice would you have from the prospective, I mean, for the applicants when they start writing these essays, or some of them may have already created a draft and they want to improvise it? To some extent, when you read these essays, when you look at these questions, they look similar, but they are very different. However, there is still a common thread which runs from part 1 to part 5. I know it sounds a bit complicated, but Rinchan, tell us, how did you ensure that it reflects about you, but it is reflecting each part about you? Go ahead.
I think yes. So I think the five questions, they are different, yet to make it very coherent, the flow should be there. That is very important. And for that, as I said before, if your goal, you know why you're applying for this program, if that is clear in your mind. For example, in my case, it was like I had this clear cut image of, you know me gaining more skills in teaching science, as a making it more enriching, making it more experiential. That was my goal. So from that point of view, uh, everything I constructed, and then yes, another very important thing. For example, I'll just give you one example that we all know that this program, in my case, when I went to Florida Gulf Coast University, I met 21 teachers from different countries. We worked together. Uh, we showed collaboration. So one of the objectives of Fulbright Scholarship TEA program is mutual understanding, to promote mutual understanding, to promote international collaboration. So, but I'm a teacher from a small town in LA. So where did I show collaboration? I showed collaboration on a small scale in my small community. So you start from there. You show that aspect of you as well, that you, as a teacher from such a small community, you are doing collaboration there as well. In your school, you're doing collaborating. In your community, you're collaborating, and that kind of adds up to their objective of creating that mutual understanding. And then you also have to give, Fulbright Tea is also about teacher leadership. You have to give instances where you were a teacher leader. And by leader, I'm not saying you are holding some managerial post. I'm talking about how you took on to some cause and you led, the cause, and you paved the way for it. So yeah, so all these things I kept in mind, and then I made sure that all the parts were coherent. Like one of the main very important point is, I think you have to be very precise. There should be no vagueness, and you should not sound uncertain. Yeah, that's what I would say. You shouldn't, one part, like you already said, Gayatri, in one part, you are talking about something else. If and you are highlighting about your collaborative, interest, and then you're talking about science. Let's say if I had talked about something else in the second part of this, then there would be no coherence. So I made sure that my goal was just one, and that was to create that kind of, like, to learn that professional development, to learn professional skills in particularly STEM field. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Rinchan. Nijoy, what were your magic that you did when you wrote these essays?
I'm an English teacher, and when okay, I'm an English teacher, then whatever things I was writing, it was connected to my English, maybe the post program benefits that is going to happen in the school, in the community. So whatever I have answered, I try to connect with that purpose. For example, in Kerala, what we like though is we are good at English, our students fail to speak in English. So I had an intention to do something on that particular area. So being there in an international platform, especially in a country like US, it will give me more exposure to the speaking aspect of language. So I focused on that. Then I had a plan to, here we have the tribal children who did not get any kind of proper education, especially even though get education, they don't get any kind of English language training. So I wanted to wanted to do something for them and develop a course for them. So being in US and having interacted with them will enable me to do that. Then I was thinking of doing some twinning program. So I had some projects in my mind which I wanted to do, and I connected those projects. How those projects can be more easier when I go there as a Fulbright scholar, and how this will be connected, how that Fulbright experience will help me in doing out those practical projects and socially benefit projects. So I kept that in mind, and I my answers were all those answers were those project oriented. So I think that helped me a lot in, as Gayatri has told, bringing something from within. That was what I did.
Right. Thank you, Nijoy. Um, my recommendation, and based on even when we interact with the applicants, as well as the grantees, as well as the panelists, one thing which we strongly recommend the applicants to do is to read about what is Fulbright, to make them also familiar with the US school educational system. So I would strongly recommend that the participants who are attending the session today, please visit our website, look at the current fellows link. When you click on that link, you will see the profiles of last 3 years grantees. Look at where our Fulbright FTA grantees have been to. Like Nijoy went to Montana, Rinchen went to Florida Gulf Coast University, and understand what their educational departments are like. That will also give you a lot of insights into what is happening in the US educational system. What are you doing? So, what is it that you want to learn, but what is it that you want to offer to the program? As Sudarshan also said, that both I mean these two things are very important. Not just going and learning, but also how will you contribute to the program. And this clarity will also come once you make yourself familiar with the Fulbright program, as well as with the US school educational system. So reach out to as many alumni as possible. We got two for you today, Rinchen and Nijoy, but you can actually reach out to many more directly. A lot of them are available on social media. Their contact details are not available on our website, but if you want to reach out someone specific based on their bio that you read on our website, we are happy to connect you to them through email. So, a strong recommendation, reach out to our alumni who have been through the program. Make yourself familiar, do your research as much as possible. Okay, let's look at a few more slides about a few more portions of the application form that you have to complete and submit before March 7th. And then we will come to details about selection process, selection criteria, and so on. Now, in addition to
Sorry,
the
Gayatri,
five
before
essays
that,
that,
can I just,
sorry,
sorry, can
sure.
you mute, please? Can I give one or two tips at this stage very quickly? Okay. So, regarding part 3, part 4, and part 5, I would like to highlight that please give little bit of context, background information, socio-economic, cultural information about your locality, your school, your students, and the parents. That will actually help a lot for the reviewers and selection committee members here in India as well as in the US to understand your context. Sometimes what happens, we all are dealing with our issues and challenges. We take those for granted, we never state those. So please identify the issues and challenges in context of your students, in context of your school, and also in context of the bit larger social aspects. And please give that. Take for example, in your school or in your locality, girl child education may be highly neglected, or there could be lots of misconception about girl child education, or there could be sanitation issues, or there could be STEM education should be seen as something is something very difficult, we should stay away. So these type of perceptions or misperceptions contexts will actually help the reviewers and the selection committee members to understand your situation. You have limited of space, I know that, but very briefly please give this context. Take for example in part 3, when you are going to speak about how your community is going to benefit from your participation in FTA program, this context will help them. Take for example, girl child education is highly neglected in your area, and you will say that after coming back I will focus on that area. Or technology in classroom is not there, so you will focus on that area. That will actually help and also strengthen your application. Regarding peer group learning and networking, open mindedness is very important. You should go there as students. I can tell you, if you have all your baggages saying that, oh, what I know that is perfect, I do not want to learn anything, or what I'm just going to see or validate what I know, that should not be the context. You should be open minded. You should be ready to learn about some of the best practices that is happening all around the world. That is very important, because this is a cohort based program. This is not an individual program. Why it is a cohort based program? Because you learn from each other what is happening, say, in Africa, what are the challenges and issues they are facing, and also same time share your best practices. You have many great examples, please share those. Regarding part 5, quality in quality education and access is also another aspect here, because most of the parents, they think that my child should go to the school, just earn the degree, come back, have some job. That is the objective with many parents, but that conception needs to be changed. Education is not just about the degree, it is about bringing changes. It is about being empathetic towards the society. So how you can bring quality education and also imbibe the sense of responsibility among the students, that is very important. So once again, just to sum up, in these 3 questions, it will always help to give the context background very briefly, also how you could address those issues, because identifying the issues is very important to address those. Over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you, Sudarshan. Okay, I'm going to now move to the next slide. So in addition to all your responses to the questions, the application form also asks you to upload institutional support and reference form and leave approval form. These two are mandatory forms. The institutional support and reference form should be from your immediate supervisor. So provide them either this form, and they can complete, they can handwrite or type, whatever is comfortable, and make sure that you're uploading it by the deadline. There is no extension for these forms. Leave approval form has to be signed by the authority who has the authority to grant you leave should you be selected for the program. If you have any questions about any of these two forms, please feel free to email the USIF, concerned USIF staff, depending on which region you are applying from. The application form in section 18 asks you to upload supplemental forms. Please use this opportunity to upload your recent resume. Please update your resume and submit. Second, your university transcripts or mark sheets. So if you have, say, for example, a master's or a PhD or a B.Ed, so upload the most recent ones or the most latest degrees that you have been awarded. So not the degree certificates, but the mark sheets. If you have received any teaching awards, please upload those. If you haven't, it's perfectly fine. As Rinchan said, it's not really about the awards, but it's about how you're making a difference in your teaching, in your school, into your students, parents, community is what matters. If you have a valid passport, please upload that, and any other document which you think is going to strengthen your application, please only upload that. We come across applications where people upload all their transcripts, all their teaching awards, all the workshops that they have conducted, or all the workshops that they've participated. They upload 60 to 100 pages. I am sorry, you cannot expect a reviewer to read so many or look at so many documents. You are anyway going to list all that in your resume, so we don't need a certificate to ensure that you have attended. So only upload the ones that are relevant, or you think you want to bring it to the attention of the selection panel. That's how, these small things will actually give you an extra edge over other applicants. Some of the points to remember, but I'm actually not going to go into this because I think we have discussed a lot about being original, no plagiarism. But I do want Sudarshan to talk about plagiarism and use of AI and Chat GPT, because this was something that we came across even last year. In many applications. So Sudarshan, do you want to talk about plagiarism and your advice about using AI and Chat GPT in the application?
Sure. As both of our, Gayatri, can you please mute? There is a bit feedback. As both of our experts today highlighted that please be original. The reviewers and the selection committee members always focus on the application, which is actually written by the applicant in their own language. All the applications will be reviewed by a particular software against plagiarism, and at any stage, if your application is found to be plagiarized, it will be rejected. Even if you are selected, your fellowship will be withdrawn. So please, you are teachers, you are the, you know, you have to follow the best practices. So ethical best practices is extremely important when you are developing your application. Not only that, it is rewarding also. If you are presenting yourself in your own thought, the reviewers and the selection committee members are going to appreciate it in a very big way. The other thing that I would like to highlight, that what is plagiarized? Sometimes we think that we take some text from some sources, we change the language, put it. That is not the case. Even that will also considered as plagiarism. Even if you are taking some ideas or some keywords from any sources without acknowledging these sources, that will be also plagiarized. So the best way is that if you are borrowing some idea or some text, please put it in double quote, give proper citation at the footnote or the end note. You should state that what is the source of your information, and that is the best practice, and there is nothing wrong in it. So as far as you are taking a certain idea or some text, putting it in double quote, giving proper citation, it will not result in plagiarism. But do not give too many quotations. Again, another part is that not here at the part of your developing your application, even during your time in the US, we have a zero tolerance policy on plagiarism. In the US, you will be required to write many things present. There also you have to be selected. You will have to follow the best ethical practices of academic standards. And also there is a very strong, what we can call that zero tolerance policy against plagiarism. So try to adhere to those policies, and as far as possible, please be original, express yourself in your own thought.
Right. Thank you, Sudarshan. Before we move to the selection criteria, a quick question to Rinchan and Nijoy. What was your USP? Why do you think, like, when you now sit and reflect, why do you think that the committee selected you over other applicants? Rinchan.
Uh, Gayatri, Uh, this is a very difficult question, but I believe in one thing, and that is when I first received the acceptance letter from Fulbright, when I got through it, there was this sentence which I'll never forget. It was Fulbright scholars exemplify the qualities of, service, leadership, and excellence that are hallmark of this program since its conception. So I think when when I was supposed to be like, when you told me, I have to become a mentor for the participants, or sorry, the applicants for Fulbright TEA program, that time I went through my application once again, and then I read it, and then I found that, the unique selling point was definitely like, they saw a teacher who was focused, committed, very motivated, proactive, in and had a strong driving force, to bring, to change the STEM education, to make STEM education more enriching and experiential in her small community, and start from there, from her school, from then to her community, and maybe then contribute at large globally also, because now, I have all these teacher friends from all over the world with whom I have the opportunity to collaborate as well. So I see all those, qualities in my application when I read it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinchan. Nijoy, why you over other applicants?
So I think I can answer that question in one sentence. For me, it was going beyond the text and reaching out the society. It is not the transactional ability of the teacher, but the transformational ability of the teacher. It is not how does he transact that particular subject in the classroom, but it's how does he transform the students and the society out of his teachings. I think I had some proofs to establish my point. So I think that was my USP and that benefited me.
That's
Fantastic.
extremely important, and I have been highlighting that thing. As teachers, you are not just confined to the classroom. As change makers, you can reach out to many people, touch the lives of many people beyond the classroom. So that makes the difference. Yes.
Sudarshan, can you please discuss the selection criteria with the applicant, with the participants?
Yes, Gayatri, so you have made the right context now to discuss about these things. We just, you know, ask the questions to our experts that what is their unique selling points. So, you have to think in the terms of that how you are a change leader. Our review and selection process is quite objective. We share detailed guidelines with the reviewers and the selection committee members so that they follow that objectively to take the decision. We want to minimize the subjective element in the selection process. That's why we follow a few selection criteria, and I want to highlight some of those, and I would request you to take a note of those and keep these in mind when you are developing your application. The very first thing is that your commitment to teaching. If you are just doing the job for the sake of fulfilling your job requirement, that is not enough. We are looking for leaders who are committed for a particular cause, who are committed for teaching, who actually do their teaching to bring changes. That must be reflected, and always give one or two examples that how you are committed to teaching. Once again, Whenever you are giving a large statement or an umbrella statement, always give one or two instances what you have done to substantiate that. The second point is demonstrate a leadership, collaboration potential. Leadership is all about what type of commitment you have and what type of change you can bring. You could be committed for a particular cause. As Rinchen stands for STEM education, we have most of our selected candidates, teachers, who have demonstrated their leadership in one or two particular areas. It could be girl child education, it could be sanitation and hygiene, it could be digital literacy, it could be inclusive education, it could be life skills, it could be mental well-being or nutrition. So your leadership should be evident on a particular one or two areas, and that should come out in your application. The third point is preparedness for an intensive US based program. Both Rinchen and Nije can tell you that how intense is that program. You know, it's absolutely demanding. Yes, there is some time for social engagement, but it is quite demanding. So you should demonstrate that you are quite prepared for that. You are committed for that. It's not something that you are going to spend. It's not a free time. And how you can demonstrate that you are prepared? You can show. Take for example, you are focusing on a particular area, AI, and you are not just confined to a particular community, and how you are trying to explore that in context of larger area. So your ability to do things in challenging situations, your ability to go beyond your comfort zone, your ability to apply your area of expertise in social context, as Nijay said, that will demonstrate that you are well prepared for the US based program. Your maturity, adaptability, flexibility in a different cultural environment is another factor. Because again and again, I am highlighting that this is a cohort based program. You should be mature and adaptable enough to give room to others to learn and also share your views. Sometimes what happens, some of the applicants, they are just self-centric. They think that if I am going on this program, I know many things, I will dominate, I will do all these things. That is also not the right approach. We are looking for teachers who would like to learn and also give room to others to express their views and also give rooms to other participants to learn. So that is a sense of maturity. You have to demonstrate in your application that how you believe in core learning. You believe that yes, I know this thing, but at the same time, my fellow teachers should also get enough room to express their views and respect that also. You may, your views might differ from others, but you should respect that. That is also a sense of maturity. Adaptability to a new situation. And how you can do that? As teachers, every year you have new students. You have students from various socio-cultural background. You may have come across students who face several issues, economic, financial, or social, or family issues. And have you reached out to any of the students to understand their challenges beyond teaching your course curriculum? That empathy should also be there. And I always say that our teachers are so empathetic. In the interview, they always say, my children, my children. Initially, I thought that, oh, but they do not see my students. They see that the students are their children. So they are empathetic about that. They are not just teaching for the sake of the, you know, just clearing the curriculum. They are looking much beyond that. So, you should bring out those aspects. Your potential for developing long-term linkages Once a Fulbrighter, always a Fulbrighter. This is a very short-term program, but you should utilize it as a platform to build lifelong connections. Very beginning, Rinchen and Nijay said that how they have developed lifelong connections, and you should build those connections during that short stint in the US. What strategy you are going to adopt? How you want to do that? If you are just going there, doing your work, coming back, end of the story, then this is a misutilization of taxpayers' money. So you have to demonstrate that what type of networking you have built here in India, in spite of all the limitations. That will demonstrate that you have the ability to network at a larger scale. Always give examples here also. What type of networking you have built, and what is the result of that? What type of changes you have brought? Or you are just confined to your small community or school or your students? That is not a good example. So please give some of the instances of networking that you have built here in India. Cultural ambassador role, you will be seen as a cultural ambassador of India to the US. Rinchen and Nijay will tell you that they might have faced several questions to know about India, our history, political situation, our culture, our food, our people. So you should be ready to speak about India very objectively, giving an objective outlook about India. And as a cultural ambassador, Fulbright program is not just an educational exchange program. It's an educational and cultural exchange program. So the reviewers and the selection committee members, in addition to look at your academic aspects, they will also look at your cultural aspects, how strong you are at the cultural networking. Anything, you could be a good singer, you could be a cook, you could be a dancer, you could, anything that you can demonstrate Indian culture. Please give some instances in your application. Proficiency in written and spoken English is another aspect which you would like to highlight. Rinchen, I think you would like to add something here regarding culture before I go to the last point. Very briefly, yes,
Oh,
please go ahead.
yes, yes, Sudarshan. I wanted to give an example from my experience in
That will be
Fulbright,
great.
yeah,
Yes,
in Florida Gulf Coast University. So wherever I went, Rinchen was not pasted on my shoulder. It was the thing that was written was FTAEA India every time.
exactly.
So you don't
Yes,
I'm not representing Rinchen there, I'm representing India. You're taking all
correct.
your learnings from India, and then yes, as you said, it's going to be a two-way transaction. Not only you're learning, but you're imparting knowledge also. So you have to be very mature and adaptable. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. So that should be the spirit. Now the last point, proficiency in written and spoken English. We do not need very quote unquote hi-fi English here. We are looking for teachers who are genuine, can use simple language to express themselves. We have, Gayatri can tell you, we have n number of examples. Teachers who have come from Hindi background, teachers who have not spoken English, in any occasion. They have been selected because of their commitment, their leadership. They have learned the language, but in a very honest way. We are not looking for teachers who can speak quote unquote in the American way. We are looking for teachers who are genuinely, who can express themselves, who can use even simplest language to express their thoughts, their leadership, their ability, their commitment. So proficiency in written and spoken language is all about genuinity. It's all about, you should have basic things, but honesty is the very important thing. This is, as I said, in context of plagiarism also. When you are developing your application, you have to express yourself in your own language. That will be absolutely respected in this age of AI and various sources of technological support that we are getting to paraphrase our languages. Please do not use those. Try to express yourself in your own thought. Read your proposal 10 times. Bring changes. 100% our reviewers will catch it if you are using AI, or you have just paraphrased your language and presented it. It will be caught. That I can assure you. Because that genuinity will never come through a machine language. So these are few things that I would like to highlight. And please keep these aspects in mind when you are developing your application.
Sudarshan, very quickly in just a minute about the selection process and the rest of the slides because it's 4:45. We will try and take some more questions.
Yes, it's so engaging, Gayatri. I can see, both of our resource persons have brought out so many aspects. So the process is very simple. Once the application deadline is over, the applications will be screened by committees, and if the application numbers are more, there will be multiple committees. Again, the committees will take into account those factors that I discussed to review our applications. Shortlisted can At that stage, it is very important that you have to come up with a very strong application, because at the review stage your application only speaks. You are not there to defend yourself. So please follow those instructions to come up with a very strong application. Then the reviewers shortlist. Generally 1:2. Take for example, we have 7 slots. We will invite around 15 to 16 candidates per interview, or maximum 20. And each candidate will be interviewed around 15 to 20 minutes. And based on the recommendation of the committee, then the next stage happens. We will nominate around 7 to 8 or 9 candidates, and we will forward those applications to Washington DC for further consideration. And also, you know, the next step will be the Fulbright Foreign Scholarship Board aspects. And also the final notifications will come once we hear from Washington DC. So review process, shortlisted candidate will be interviewed, then will be referred to Washington DC. So we are looking forward to, generally we get around 7 slots. Um, So this year also 7 FTA teachers are going to be selected from India. I do not want to discourage you. This is a small number, but this number is to encourage you that you must come up with a very strong application. You can see the numbers for 23-24 academic year. We received 366, close to 400 applications. The application number slightly came down in 24-25, around 170 applications. Again, in both the years, we got 7 finalists. Next, please. So all the information are available on our website usif.org.in. Please visit our website. As both Rinchen and Nijay and also Gayatri emphasized that please review the announcement. Read the announcement 3 times before you start your application. And please review all the documents. Do lots of introspection. Think about, take notes. Then only you start your application, working on your application. All the details are available on our website usif.org.in. I think most of you must have started by now. Next, please. That's all from our side. Thank you, and over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you so much, Sudarshan. And when you are visiting the website, when the applicants are working on the application form, please do not hesitate to reach out to the USIF staff if you have any questions during the process. Not just the USIF staff, you can see big nods from the alumni. So feel free to reach out to Nijoy Rinchan, but all our alumni are more than happy to help the prospective applicants write an application. Okay, now let me quickly take 5 questions, and I request the participants to write questions which are related to the application form, application essays, and try and address those questions more to Nijoy and Rinchen, because this is a great opportunity for you to directly ask them the questions. Of course, Sudarshan and I are always available around the time. So try and ask questions related to the application form and not just the technical eligibility. Okay, so let me see if we have any questions around that. Give me a moment. Okay. There is a question related to the cohorts. Of course, we did not talk about the cohorts. So the application form asks you to select one of the cohorts if you are interested. The cohorts are girls education cohort, the technology education cohort, and the third one is the Sushan, what was the third one? I'm sorry. We
So
have the girls
we have
education.
three yes, girls education, technology, and also STEM education.
STEM education, yes.
Yeah.
So it's not mandatory to select the cohorts. However, if you are someone like, Rinjan is, her passion is around STEM education. Nijoy's passion is around reading skills, English language skills. So, similarly, if you have a passion for girls' education, technology, or a STEM education, you can select one of the cohorts. You can also select more than one cohort, though that's not an ideal. Please don't select all three cohorts because that communicates to the panel that you're confused. You don't know what you want to do in those 6 weeks, and you can't do all three cohorts. Of course, you will only be placed in one cohort. So, that's a thing to keep in mind. Sushin, anything that you want to add by the time I read more questions?
So I would suggest to go for only one cohort. And if you see here, that is based on the issue and context of your school or locality. Again, do not go by the fashionable areas. And also showcase what you have already done. Choose that cohort where you have done some contribution, because that will be taken into account when the reviewers read these things. So these three factors, where you are committed for, what is your future plan, and also where you have done your work, and also in context of what is the requirement in context of your locality or your school.
Thank you, Sudarshan. Okay, this there's a question about Nijoy, Rinchan. Both of you can address this question now, because Nijoy, you've been talking about being an English teacher. Rinchan has been focusing on STEM education, but there is a question from an applicant who says that I teach two subjects, English and social studies. So, is it mandatory to highlight one of the subjects, English or social studies, or is it okay to talk about her interest or her teaching expertise in both the subjects when you're writing the application form? Nijoy, do you want to go first?
My suggestion is you should mention the basic things, that you should establish that you are a social science teacher and an English teacher. Give the basic credentials on both, but it's better to focus on the one major thing. There should be focus. Where did you perform or socially productive as a social studies teacher or as an English teacher? If you're doing better as a social studies teacher or socially constructive as a social studies teacher, do that. Go for that. If you're better as an English teacher, go for that, because your post graduation or your specialization may be in English, and you might be more focused, more creative in English education. Do that. If you are specialized in social science and you work on that, you are doing research on that, and your activities are predominantly on social science area, go for that. That's my idea.
I yeah, even me, I would
Yeah.
say on the similar terms, like Nijoy said, that I think she should choose one subject because uh, English and social science both, curtail to like different experiences, right? Like as I remember there in FGCU, the language teachers, they had a different curriculum than the STEM teachers. So the language teachers, they were given their classes took place along with the special educators, and the STEM teachers were mostly chemistry, physics, biology teachers. So I think she should be clear because that will make the selection committee also, it will make it easier for them to choose. So she should select one. Yeah.
Okay. Anything that you want to add, Sudarshan, to this response?
Again, I would like to highlight that what is your primary focus?
Hmm.
Please stick to that. You might be doing various works, various fields, various areas you are teaching. That's perfectly fine. But everything for this should depend on your primary focus, what you want to learn and what is your future plan. Where do you want to see yourself in down the line 5 years? And how this program will help you in achieving those objectives. So from that perspective, you should focus on only one primary area because it's a very short term program. You do not have liberty of time to you know look at many aspects and also look it from your future objectives point of view. So from that point of view, focus on one area.
Thank you, Sudarshan. I request you to address this question. How much impact does a letter of recommendation or the institutional support and reference form has on the selection process?
It has significant impact because what happens, these are not just letters of recommendation or support from the institution. These are taken very seriously by the reviewers and the selection committee members. I must tell you that we share the applications with the reviewers around 3 weeks prior to the interview or the screening date so that they read all those aspects and how your letter of recommendation puts you in context. That also gives some sorts of credentials about your journey so far, the challenges that you have faced, what you have brought on ground changes, and what is your future plan. Hence, choose your referees or the letter of support from your home institution. Give them a free hand to write. Sometimes what happens in many cases, the applicants write a draft letter and ask their recommender to sign. That should not be the case. Again, you have to follow the best practices. Let them to judge you from various perspectives as a person, as a leader, as a, as an academician, and something a change maker. So to summarize, the letter has strong significance in terms of your evaluation of the application.
Yeah. Thank you, Sudarshan. And I just want to add that, the institutional support and reference form must be from your supervisor and not your colleague. So if you are a PGT teacher, for example, you cannot ask another PGT teacher, your colleague, to write a reference form for you. So because it also says institutional support. So your supervisor, who is a part of the institutional management, must be available to sign and write a reference letter for you. There are a few questions regarding more in terms of the application form. For example, who should sign the institutional support form? So as I said, it has to be the supervisor. The leave form must come from your employer. However, the rules or the systems are different when you are applying from a state government school, a private school, or a central government school like Kendriya Vidyalaya, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya. Please reach out, as I said, to our USIF staff in specific regions, depending on where you are applying from. And for more clarity, or if you have any questions about who should sign the leave approval form. Um, okay. I We have a question from a candidate who says, someone mentioned that being part of a previous exchange program might reduce your chances of selection. Is it so? Please clarify. Sudarshan, do you want to answer this question? If somebody has been a part of a previous exchange program, I'm assuming it's a US exchange program, will that reduce the chances of selection?
I must tell you that this is a program, where we look for the applicants who do not have enough US exposure because it's an intense, competitive program. So take for example, we have two candidates and only one slot to be decided, and we see that somebody has already participated in an exchange program and the other person does not have, and both are on the same merit basis, are the same plane, then we will select somebody who does not have the US exposure or does not have the exchange program experience. But that said, this does not disqualify you. You can apply as far as you can give enough justification why there is a need for you to go to the US or on this program. You are absolutely fine. And there also something can go in a positive way for you. You can say that yes, I had participated in an exchange program. Take for example, it was a short-term program. After coming back, I have done these many things. That means it shows that you have learned something and you have the ability to implement here in India. So that will also be a positive thing for you to support you once again. To say that yes, if another fellowship you get, you can come back and do the same thing. I think this is the thing. This is something, a double way thing. It is actually completely merit based, but as far as you can justify, the things are absolutely fine. But again, our guideline says that preference will be given to those who do not have recent extensive US experience or US exchange experience.
Thank you so much, Sudarshan. I think we it's sharp 5, and it's time for us to conclude the session. I know there are still a few more questions from the participants. As I said, please feel free to write to us, call us anytime during our office hours, typically 9 to 5:30, weekdays, Monday to Friday, to you can reach out to Sudarshan, me, the alumni, but for technical questions, please reach out to the USIF staff, and we are more than happy to provide answers to your questions. You can email us, and we will be providing responses to that. And I strongly, strongly encourage you to reach out to our alumni also. So I take this opportunity to thank you, Rinchan and Nijoy, for taking their time out and mentoring the prospective applicants. I'm sure I see, I mean, I must say, I don't know if you can see the question box, but there has been a lot of positive feedback already. There are more thumbs up, there is more cheering coming, but there have been compliments. Very, very informative session. And don't be surprised if your inbox is going to be full with questions from many of these participants who attended the session today. So thank you so much. I think this is one way, as Sudarshan said, once a Fulbrighter, always a Fulbrighter. One way of a Fulbrighter to contribute in mentoring the prospective applicants. Thank you, Rinchan. Thank you, Nijoy. Sudarshan, it goes without saying, your mentorship always helps the applicants. It has been helping the applicants for so many, many years. So thank you, Sudarshan, for sharing insights from the other side of the table of how the committees look at the application, what is probably not a so good application or the best application, and what is it happens inside that boardroom with the hot seat that is occupied by the candidate when the interviews are happening with the candidates. So thank you so much, Sudarshan. Thank you. And thank you to all
Uh,
the participants. And we wish you all the best with your application. Yes, Rinchan.
Gayatri, thank you so much to both of you, Sudarshan and Gayatri, also for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences. There are very few platforms where you can do that, but then thank you so much for this opportunity. Yes, and I wish all the best to all the participants, all the applicants. Write your applications carefully. No, make less grammatical errors and be honest with your words. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rejoy. Rejoy. Rejoy, you're freezed. I you want to add anything? Okay, by the time Nijoy comes back, Sudarshan, any words from you to the participants?
I just wish them all the best and thank you for attending today's session. And always reach out to us if there is anything. Once again, Rinchen and Nija, thank you so much for always being so supportive. We really mean it. And Gayatri, is so nice that you are organizing all these things. And I greatly appreciate all the efforts you are taking in organizing, in
My pleasure.
hosting this session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sudarshan. Nijoy is back. Nijoy, do you want to say a word before we close the session?
It's
He's
stuck
freezed
again.
again.
Yeah.
He's freezed again. I'm sure Nijoy also wants to wish, all the best to all the participants. Nijoy, are you back? Nijoy, do you want to say a word before we close the session?
Yeah. I think there was some connectivity issues. So thank you so much for this great opportunity. I wish all the candidates all the very best. Let's be there more in the Fulbright alumni team. It will be a great collaboration. Thank you so much, all.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Everyone, bye bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.